Well, I am Dan Cooley. I'm the content strategist at Princeton Mortgage. I'm here with Joe Pakula, who is the senior marketing manager at Princeton Mortgage. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Me. I'm a pro. So I am excited. This is our first episode of the marketing show for Mortgage Pro Talk. We've kicked names around. We really have to figure this out and lock in because we had what is it? Mortgage Marketing Mayhem, which sounds pretty cool. We could do some kind of
that was a good one,
a hard rock one. The podcast that has no name is good until it's up on a screen, and then you're like, "What are we doing?"
Name, yeah.
So we'll figure it out. So this is the marketing pod for Mortgage Pro Talk, and each week we're going to just kind of dive in on different marketing topics. We know that marketing in general is sort of it's like either a magic key in someone's mind or it's like a complete waste of time in other people's minds. Most people kind of fall into the middle. So we're hoping to kind of demystify some aspects and then give some advice along the way to not only loan originators, but also just anyone in kind of business in general. Like these are topics and themes that, will work regardless of, or will be, prevalent regardless of your industry or the type of work that you're doing. So anyone in sales, real estate agents, we're hoping to kind of help everybody. So I am excited to be here. And our first topic for this episode, or our only topic for this episode, our first topic of this podcast is staying top of mind. So this whole idea of a podcast came out of a conversation that you and I were having, Joe, where we were just talking about like what's the most important thing that one can do from a marketing standpoint. And we went back and forth. You're talking social media, you're talking emails, you're talking, we're going back and forth. And then really what it just boils down to is staying top of mind is the only important thing that matters is kind of where we landed. What are your thoughts on that? Just to begin with.
No, it is. You hear it so often. It's like, maybe you're talking to a potential client or something, and it's like the first time they're like, oh, not right now. And like the second time is like, no, leave me alone. I'm not really interested right now. And then like, you just have to kind of stay top of mind because it becomes like a wearing them down game in a good way. Like, that's such a bad way to phrase it, but it's like, it's just staying top of mind is just being in front of them. Like when they let down their guard, you're going to be there at the front of the gates, with your big sell or whatever you want to talk to them about. And you can get into like the 7 times 7 ways, different strategies where it's like same messaging 7 times 7 ways is like another way to think about it, where it's like you're staying top of mind in 7 different mediums or 7 different ways. But yeah, it's all about staying consistent, staying agile, and staying in front of them, because I think that's the only way. No, I can't think of many people. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but many people who have like closed the sale on like an opening conversation. It's the consistency of staying in front of them.
I think like with most things, there are myths that rise up, and I think that is the one for marketing is like you have to get them to buy right now. And it's not that is impossible, but it's just the odds of that like if people are going to purchase when they're ready to purchase, whether it be a service or a product or whatever. So, you find the right people and they look at your product and they go, man, that's perfect for me. I need that. That's going to solve this problem for me. It's going to make my life easier. Even in that perfect kind of scenario where they're like, yes, I do need this right now. Maybe they're at work and they shouldn't be looking on Amazon at that moment, or they shouldn't have been on their social media. So they're like, I'll buy it when I get home. Maybe they didn't get paid yet. Maybe they are just busy and they're like, I'll come back to it. The kids run in. Most of us are working from home to some degree, right? Like whatever it might be, there are 1,000 reasons why they're not going to buy. And so it becomes, when you think of it like that, it suddenly becomes so important just to like you said, you used wear them down, but just sort of stay in front of them. And I think even with top of mind, we have the misconception that it's like, oh, top of mind means that like they're thinking about you all the time. And it's like, that'd be crazy, if any brand could really get you to be like, man, I'm just sitting here thinking about, Home Goods, like that store, that just gets me every time. Shout out to Home Goods. In reality, you don't think about it till you need it. And so staying top of mind is really just like becoming the last one to have been in front of them so that you're the first one they think of when they need you.
Right, and the same goes, in thinking from like an LO perspective. It's like maybe a referral partner that you're not working with, or hasn't sent you a loan in a while, is like maybe they're fine with their current lender or the loan officer they're working with, or they have a great relationship, or maybe they just have like an average relationship, and then maybe there's one day where it's like that loan officer's on vacation, unreachable, and you're staying top of mind, and they're like, oh yeah, this guy Mark from Princeton Mortgage has been emailing me and kind of reaching out, staying top of mind with me. They're not saying that in their head, but like subconsciously this is what's going on in their head. And they're like, I'll give this guy a shot. He's been pretty consistent reaching out, so why not? That's like the best case scenario. I mean, I think that happens more times than not, in everything like that. I'm just using the LO to referral partner perspective as an example, but I think it's a lot of different things. You go to a food store and, they have milk, but the fourth time you go, they don't have milk. It's like, what's the next food store in your mind? Because you're not going to go home and not have milk for your kids, right? They're going to need that for cereal. So like, who's earning that open spot in your mind to go to, like, instead of Acme, it's ShopRite, when they run out of milk, if that's a good analogy.
It is though, but I mean, people. So again, people just to again with the repetition of messaging, like people purchase when they're ready, when they need it. That is, or when there's some type of pressure to do it right now. I've run email campaigns where it's like you're running it for a month, and sales are trickling in a little bit, and then the sale's gonna end in 2 days, and suddenly it's like purchase, and it's like, why did you wait this long? There were even times we even got into a rhythm where we would leave the sale open for like the morning of the next day, because people would be like, oh, I missed that sale, and like still purchase in the morning, like, ooh, they forgot, let me go in. And so it's human nature in general. And then the other thing is that people buy from other people that they like, they know, and they trust, right? And so your job as a loan officer, then becomes to be one of those people, get to know them, right? Get in front of them, build a connection with them, be there enough and show enough social proof and show enough integrity that they trust you. And don't, be consistently in front of them without being annoying and being someone they don't like, right? And so if you can do those things, like you said, Joe, there's going to come a point where, oh man, my loan officer's really been slipping. Oh man, my realtor's not been answering me back. Like switching over to the real estate agent side, right? My realtor's not been getting back to me. Hasn't been, it's been months. I'm not seeing anything I like. They're going to go to that next person, and we all know it. And the important thing too is if you have, let's say you're a loan officer that already has referral partners, the other side of that coin is you need to stay top of mind with them. I think people get this mindset of, oh, I did it. Like that's my partner now, and I can just ignore them and move on. As long as I do a good job for them, I'm going to do a good job. They're going to keep coming to me. It's like, hopefully, but you really should consider staying in flow with them, as we call it, right? Staying top of mind and connected with them.
Yeah, and it's like what you said, like know, like, and trust. People work with people that they know, like, and trust. I think that's really true. I mean, in more ways than one. It's like, you don't always have to sell. I mean, people don't want to be sold to. I think it's like psychologically a rule. People don't want to be sold to. They're immediately turned off. So it's like, how do you break that barrier with like becoming somebody that is selling to them, but not actually selling to them, and it's becoming somebody that they know, like, and trust. So it's like maybe you're the knowledge expert on rates, or like where the market's going, or mortgage bonds, or whatever topic that's important to their industry, that you can kind of talk pretty easily to, pretty frequently, and just kind of staying top of mind with them that way. They'll think, oh, this guy knows a lot about rates and like where it's going and the market. He posts on social media all the time about it, and it's really informational. And maybe you're not saying in there directly like, use me as your loan officer, but you're actually talking, I know a lot about this stuff, so reach out to me. And if they're seeing this consistently, you are staying top of mind. It's an interesting like kind of way to earn that trust, and then like people get to know you, like you, and then you make that collision and all of that stuff. And then when the timing is serendipitous, it's perfect.
No, a great way to put it, and this kind of leads us into, I guess, the important thing, which is, or the other side of this episode, which is like, so what are some ways that one can stay top of mind, right? I think one of the biggest mistakes that marketers make, so that you and I would make, is just kind of assuming there's this base level of knowledge, right? And that's not a diss to anyone that doesn't have what we consider a base level, right? Because for us, it's like we're just in it every day. So that floor keeps rising. It's like, well, everyone knows about how to use social media. Everyone knows how to, create an email campaign. Everyone, right. But they don't, right? And I mean, that's why we have jobs. So it's a couple of things that you can do, I think, right now that are high impact, low effort in some ways, is first, just make a commitment to yourself, put it into your calendar, whatever you got to do, that you're going to start posting about your industry, whether it be relevant topics, whether it be, personal anecdotes or whatever. Set an alarm for yourself. You can even schedule ahead of time. There are different programs that you can use. Just Google, social media scheduling. Some of the big ones are like Hootsuite and Sprout Social, Buffer. These are a few that come to my mind. But frankly, when you're talking about Facebook, I don't know about LinkedIn, actually. Maybe you do. But Facebook allows you to schedule ahead of time. So just
I don't think LinkedIn does natively, but like you said, there's a lot of like apps that are available. Some are free. It comes down to like a how frequently are you posting or features thing, but a lot of them are free or like very minimal cost to get entry. So I think there's LinkedIn ones out there as well.
Yeah, definitely, and just get ahead of it. Just you don't have to go. And this would be my second piece of advice: don't overthink. People they overthink. Oh, what am I going to write about? Why would people care? I don't want to annoy my friends if I'm posting on my personal Facebook. Don't worry about that. The internet is so fast,
right?
and things are refreshing at such a high rate that people aren't noticing. To the fear about speaking to the fear about your friends getting annoyed. Like, unless you're posting 6 times a day every single day, no one is noticing that amount. And you never know, that post might get in front of your cousin who's like, oh yeah, my friend Debbie was talking about needing a loan. I totally forgot my cousin's a loan officer. Like, I know it, but I'm not thinking about it. I'm going to call Debbie, hook them up.
And these sort of tactics, I mean, really work for like any industry. It's not like we're reinventing the wheel here. Right. It's like, age old, century old tactics. Obviously social media hasn't been around for centuries, but these sort of top of mind, friendly tactics where it's like you're putting yourself out there consistently. It builds this niche in somebody's brain that you are this person. I can use the example, like I'm an illustrator on the side, and it's like every single time I post on Instagram what I'm illustrating, somebody reaches out. They say, oh, that's awesome. Oh, can you do one of my kids? Can you draw this like for my family? Oh, Christmas is coming. It's every single time. I've painted that picture, not, to use a pun, I've painted that picture in their head that like, oh, Joe is the illustrator guy that they know. And it's like, they know that, and they send their friends my way, and it's like, they ask for requests whenever I post. But the same goes for like mortgage industry, real estate, housing. I mean, it's like if you're posting consistently with informational tidbits about the market, about housing, about where the house prices are going, these sorts of things that people find interesting, especially if they're buying a house. But if they're not buying a house, they'll see it. It'll still register somewhere in the back of their brain until that time is right. Like Dan said, like their cousin will be looking for a house or something, and they're going to be like, oh, who posts a lot about housing and is probably like the best person I know about it? John Smith from Princeton Mortgage.
Yeah.
They'll reach out, they'll send a DM or something and be like, hey, my cousin's looking, who can they get in touch with? And it's just building that niche in somebody's brain, being consistent on social media, in conversations, in person, on the phone, whatever your medium is. I think it works. Use all of them, obviously,
Yeah.
because that's the best. That magnifies your reach a little bit, but I think it really helps a ton, by getting, consistently posting, about the industry you're in, about the topics you want to sell to. So because it makes people think you're the expert, because you are the expert.
Right. Again, it's like the theme of this episode is really just top of mind actually means, remind people of what you do and who you are. Right. It's as simple and difficult as that. Right. I think another blocker that I hear people having in their mind is like, oh, I feel so awkward posting. I don't want to be fake. I don't want to be, I know that to do social media correctly for my business, I see the people, they're like, photo shoots and this and that and the other thing. It's like, that is a very small minority of people. And frankly, I almost feel like that has become so the norm, the expectation, the platonic ideal, that people are getting turned off by it. It's like, you're not really sitting there doing work while perfectly drinking a coffee. Like, it's fake. I don't believe you. I, one of the loan officers at our company, was taking this advice and just started putting out videos of himself, just like talking about something going on in the industry, or reminding people what he did, posting it like once a week, and he started seeing loans come in. Right? It's like,
Do you have a shout out? Who is it?
that one was Ivan Ruiz.
Shout out to
Shout
Ivan.
out to Ivan, who I love. And but it's not just him. It's a lot of people. And look, at Princeton Mortgage, obviously, the marketing team is sending out emails on your behalf, or creating them so you can send them. Is putting out posts that you can use and things like that. But not everyone has that. Go ahead.
And like, I get it. Like, I totally get it. Like, it is frightening to like put yourself out there, put yourself in video, and share it. It's frightening. I've talked to media experts like in the industry, who host podcasts and host video shows that they publish online, and it's like, they tell me they're introverts. They hate doing this like sort of stuff, but it's like they love the conversation. They love the endorphin kick when people start commenting or start getting, interested and start reaching out and want to talk about this sort of stuff. I think people naturally, obviously there are a select few of people who this really comes naturally to, but I think a lot of people all share that same fear. And it's like, it's just the ones that kind of like get over it, or, I don't want to be like too harsh, but like suck it up and like just go for it. That really stand out and get consistent and really build that niche in people's brains that we keep talking about. I mean, this stuff is frightening. I don't even know. I'm scared right now talking to Dan.
Well, I would say being the advocate. It's funny that we're switching roles right now as the extrovert, being the advocate for like the introverts in our lives. Like, I would just say too that I would agree with Joe that putting it out there and is still important, even if you're not necessarily comfortable with it. But what I would say, to kind of, I don't know, change that a little bit, is that you don't need to be someone else. So do it to your comfort level, whatever that. If you're like, look, I have no problem putting out like a post with my thoughts on something with the mortgage industry, but I absolutely do not want to put out a video of myself talking about it. It's like, okay, well, like, that's better than not doing something. And I think that
I think. Sorry,
no, please.
I think people relate to that human side a little bit more than like, just like a scripted content that's like feels like it's being read. I think people appeal to like, even if you start a video, it's like your first video on social media is like, I'm really nervous to do this sort of stuff,
Right.
but I really have a lot of great stuff to share, and I'm really excited to share it with my audience, my sphere of influence, the people I meet, but no, I am really nervous doing this sort of stuff. I think people will be like, you know what, he's a human, I get nervous too, like, and then they start checking in to see like your progress, almost like subconsciously. They're like, he was nervous in week 1, let me see how he's doing week 6, that sort of thing.
And it's the same advice that we would give like our kids going into school, right? And it's easier heard than taken is a better way to put it. But it's like you go and you be yourself, and the people that are supposed to be attracted to you will come to you, right? Like we
Right.
all know what that feels like when, especially as adults, when you meet people and you don't necessarily click, but you have to find a way to make it work because you have to work together. We also know that feeling as an adult when you come and meet somebody and it's just like boom, it's easy, right? Like obviously our love affair that we have going, Joe. So like
Yeah. Right.
it's there you meet those people and it's easy for whatever reason. You meet those people and it's not easy for whatever reason. Mark Gordon, who's the chief revenue officer, was doing a sales training, and he had a great. There's actually a video it'll be one of the podcasts actually too. He had a great moment where he was talking about the importance of culture fit, not culture fit when it comes to making a partnership, right? And basically what he gave a great analogy where he's like, if you're this like kind of awkward, a little dorky, just like whatever type of guy, and you're like, all right, well, I got to really go partner with some real estate agents. I see all these real estate agents in the club on this Instagram I follow, so I'm gonna go find that person. I'm gonna convince them to work with me. They might, and you guys might totally jive. But like, if you're like, hey, do you like to go to the club? No, I hate going to the club. Hey, do you like to like go party? No, I'm kind of like a be in bed by 10 o'clock guy. Drink a warm glass of milk. It's like, cool. Go find the people that are like
Right.
that, and you're a great fit for them. You don't have to
That's
suddenly
your tribe.
pretend. You find your tribe. You don't have to pretend to be somebody else. Well, that's what I got to do. Everyone's clubbing. I have to go club. It's like, no, that's not every real estate agent. It's not every loan officer. Go find your people.
Right, and we're speaking to this like know, like, and trust concept of like earning a customer's know, so that they know, like, and trust you, and then they start sending business your way. It's like it will be like tenfold more easier for you to like earn the be able to be someone that they know, like, and trust if like you could talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation, because that's
Right.
that's a realtor who watches the same show as you or something, rather than somebody who's into football and you haven't watched a lick of football. Like I think it's easier to have that conversation, or just like have these friendly conversations where they start building a repertoire of like, this is somebody I can really just like let my guard down and talk to. I think consistently doing that is over time becomes like that's how you build that tribe. That's how you build that customer base that really fits your niche, your brand, who you are. Like you said, like you're not gonna go reach out to people who are clubbers if you're not a clubber, because you can't talk to the same things. You can't. All you can talk about is sales at that point, and people don't like being sold. So it's like it's not going to work.
Exactly right. Yeah. If you have nothing to talk to the people about, then there's nothing doing at that point. And if you're a loan officer who's in love with Star Trek, and you haven't already like Googled like real estate agent Star Trek club or something, then stop listening immediately and go get to your computer and Google, because that's like a gold mine, right? And that's like that's where you should be. So that's very, very well said. I think that it's going back to like tools to stay top of mind. So like social media obviously is there. The number one thing that stops people from using social media is they get insecure. They feel weird. I don't know what to post. Find the most recent news that you read about the mortgage industry, post a link to it, and give two paragraphs with your thoughts on it. You don't even have to say like call me if you want it. None of that. Just put it out there. You never know who's going to see it, and it's going to lead to good interactions. The other thing is just taking time to write thoughtful emails that you put out at least once a week, to try to stay top of mind. Maybe it's something that your company already does. Maybe it's something that your company doesn't do. But regardless, if you can personalize it, make it your own, really speak to people, really try to connect with them, make yourself available. Reach out, look on social media or in real life for a real estate agent having a problem or whatever, and reach out privately and just give advice, like without any expectations. If you can start doing those types of things, you're going to notice a shift, right? If you can the more that you post, the more that you email, the more that you send out handwritten letters and go to open houses and don't sell, the more you will notice an uptick in your referral business. And
I, I think it's interesting though, like something you said about the emails, like writing those friendly emails, and I think the same tips we talked about, like recording videos and staying consistent with that, being like very human or being you in those. I think it's like even when you write emails, like it can be uncomfortable for or hard for some people to write emails. Like we get it, but it's like nobody expects you to write it as if you're like a Harvard, English writing professor or something. It's like you can write a 3 sentence email and be super human about it and talk conversationally, and I think people appreciate that rather than like a formally written email. Obviously there's a time for and place for those sort of things, but if you're just reaching out to be like friendly and conversational with people, I think it's all it's kind of preferred that you write conversationally with people. Obviously, like I've studied, advertising copywriting, and like we're almost like taught to write that way. And then like you read stuff about blogging and those sort of things, they tell you to write like as if like a first grader is reading it, just because people appreciate that more. They're easier to like kind of read quickly, get to the point. They feel more humanized. They feel that the sender is more humanized when they write that way. So I think those sort of ideas kind of apply for more ways than one, not just social media videos and your writing style when you write emails, or even just if you're writing a letter, that sort of stuff. I guess like consistently be you.
This we could easily just turn this into a podcast about like be yourself and reach for the stars. Like I that is the kind of the trick, right? To marketing. Like, are you able? Do you feel comfortable, or do you have the time to put yourself out there, and just and the self confidence to do it? And I think that is. I think you're totally right. I think putting out content that's just sort of you, that's simple to read. A quick thing on that. One thing that changed my life a little bit was when someone looked at me and goes, "Well, you know that thinking burns calories, right?" And I was like, "What do you mean?"
Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. So the fun thing is that like, we don't think of it that way, right? We think, "Oh, my brain's this like supercomputer that will always work. I can always tap into it, but my body gets tired or whatever." But we've all been in that situation where you're just done. Like you're mentally like gone, you're just done. And so if someone's working all day and then they get your email and it's like a thesis on the mortgage industry,
Right.
They're going to check out. They just can't handle it. But if it's kind of short and to the point and fun or real and simple to read, then it becomes a lot easier. So making sure your messaging is easy to digest is super important. More important than like writing something interesting, I would even say. Like just make sure it's easy for them. Get to the point. Make sure it's easy for them to understand. And another idea I had is like, don't be afraid. Like just kind of give, right? So whether it be one thing that I love recommending is if there are realtors or real estate agents that you're looking to connect with and to build a relationship with, they're probably out there posting their listings and their open houses. Share their open house posting, right? Just be like, hey, friends in this area, if you're around looking for a house, check this one out. It seems great. This realtor seems really nice. I haven't met them yet, but they seem great. The long and short is that if you can take time to say something nice about a realtor, to remember to take time, really it's about building relationships. Like at the end of the day, you have to make a decision as a salesperson. Like I'm going to try to build relationships with these people that are genuine, that are not manipulative, that are not just for one thing. We all know why we're here in terms of business, but I'm not going to make our relationship about that. And if you can do that, people, again, know, like, and trust. Like people will take the time to give you a shot because they like you, they trust you, they know you. Especially if you can take the time to really try to store information away when you're having like conversations with these people. There was someone that was, before I came to Princeton that was trying to sell me on some services, and I always was like, look, I'm really not interested, but he would just stay in contact with me. I guess at some point I mentioned my son like had a birthday in March. I got an email from him last March that was like, hey, haven't talked in a while, hope you're doing well. I know it's your son's birthday this month, just wanted to stop and say happy birthday to your son. Hope you and your wife are well, be well, blah blah blah. And it's like, again, I'm not looking for his services. If I ever need his services, you absolutely know who I'm going to, because he's taken the time to actually, I don't know, talk to me. And even though I know the game, even though I know what he's doing, even though
Right.
all of it still works on me because he's still doing it. He's still taking the time to like, I'm building a relationship with you. I don't care if you're invested or not. I'm invested and I'm staying with you. That there's a power to that.
It's really funny, like you say that. It's like you do take note of like the marketing or sales techniques that kind of break through because you're like, I know the hustle, I know what goes on, and it's like, I really appreciate that they did something different or something. It's like, I'm thinking of like when I go on LinkedIn and it's like, oh, I've got like 5 new connections and like I add them, and as soon as I add them, it's like 10 minutes later, it's like, hi Joe, it looked like you're in the same industry and you might be needing a marketing automation. Like I can't tell you how many messages start with that. I added somebody the other day and their first message was, do you think Ben Simmons is going to get traded from the Sixers? And I was like, it's like, who are you? Where do you work? Like, I looked into it and like, this is weeks ago. And like, I'm still thinking about this guy breaking the ice with like talking about something I'm interested in.
Right.
Like this stuff, like you got to break through. And it's like, it's not by selling. It's by talking, appealing to, you know, the person's likes and the things that they're into, and just like kind of breaking through that barrier. And it's a really funny thing because that one stuck with me. It was like one of these, like, I know he's going to sell me something when I respond, but like I appreciate that, like he like probably looked on my profile or maybe Googled my name and saw like, you know, I've been posting on Instagram about the Sixers or something. I don't know how he figured that out, but you know, that somehow he figured it out.
But at least if nothing else, he's taken a little effort, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times when you look at some marketing nowadays, it feels like if I message, you know, 1,000 people, and if I get 1% of them, that's 10 clients. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels very numbers driven, which I guess it is, and you know, more power to them. But it just, if you're looking to build long-term relationships, that's not how you start it, right? You don't write a message to every like every girl in a mile radius and just go like, hello, I would like to take you on a date. You're like, someone's gonna respond yes, and then I'll find my wife. Like, that is not how that happens. And so, you know, I don't know, taking that time to really build a relationship. So just to a quick rundown to end this episode with some concise things for everybody. The most important thing is staying top of mind. And if you're going to do that, let's change how we think of top of mind. It's no longer it doesn't mean be fully remembered at all times. It means taking the time to build a rapport with another person that is genuine. So how do we do that? We do that by actually engaging with them in a way that is meaningful. We do that by consistently posting or emailing or whatever. As much as you can. We do that by asking about the basketball player Ben Simmons, apparently, if you're going after Joe. And we do that by being ourselves more than anything else. You be yourself and find your tribe, find your group of people that are going to click with you. Those are going to be the clients and the referral partners that you absolutely love working with, that when they call or email you, you don't go, oh my God, why is this person getting in touch with me? You get excited and you're like, cool, you know, hey Joe, what's going on? How can I help you? So that is what you're looking for. And frankly, that's going to lead to having a better life, not just the more money, but if you have to work with dozens of people consistently for years, you should try to like them and try to find people that you like.
Do you think, as an aside, do you think that guy like Googles everybody, finds out what market they're in, is like, James Harden really isn't living up to expectations in Brooklyn, is he? What do you think? And then they're like, is Jimmy Garoppolo the quarterback of the future for the night? Like, do you think he sends that message? Because I think that's like probably an interesting tactic.
If
he's
so,
like reaching...
that might be. But he also, if you Google your name, it becomes clear that you are a Philly sports person based on your side business that you have.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I don't know.
By the way, Joe's side business, he scalps tickets and sells them illegally online. Yes. Correct, Joe? Do you want to talk on that?
Please, don't. No, hey, I gotta go.
I'm kidding. Joe's
whatever it is, it's built a niche in my brain. I know this guy sells translation software.
Is that what it is? He's killing it. He's killing it.
Yes.
Or not, but he has a ton of friends that he has really interesting sports conversations
knows about their sports.
He's sitting there all day just reading like any sports information. It's like, this is the whole crux of my sales strategy, okay? I have to know how the Winnipeg whatevers are doing if I'm going to make money. All right.
It's reaching out to like some team in Alaska that like there's not that much information on.
Joe, any last thoughts on being top of mind?
No, I think consistency is obviously key. It's staying consistent, obviously being a human, being friendly, being conversational. That's how you earn that trust. And just staying top of mind really by being consistent. I mean, nobody ever really, won a deal by just posting once or, one phone call and then hanging up or one text message or whatever the case may be and then never trying again. So just staying consistent.
I totally agree. That's the key. And we're going to do another episode, I think, on consistency because it's just like, it's so many people get like, I'm going to really do it. And they like go 2 weeks and they're like, it's not working.
Well, we got to be consistent.
Yeah, we
consistently doing episodes about consistency. That's talking about the same thing.
That's what we do. We're going to drive it. We do this episode every time with every part.
We're gonna do this theme 7 times, 7 ways.
7 different ways. One time in funny hats. All right. Well, Joe, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, everybody. If like and subscribe. That's what the kids are saying these days. Give us 5 stars or 4 stars. If you're gonna give us anything less than that, just don't. Just don't. You don't need to do that. Don't be that person.
Actually, be brutally honest. I want to know where we fell short.
If you're going to give us less than 4 stars, write us an email with your criticisms, and we'll take it into account. And we'll go from there.
Write it conversationally. Don't write it like a thesis paper.
Make sure you do have an email: mortgageprotalk@gmail.com. Mortgageprotalk@gmail.com. If you have any criticisms, thoughts, comments, concerns, send it there. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can also we're on your any podcast app that you have, and if you're listening on one of those apps, you can look at what our face looks like on YouTube. Don't do that to yourself. I'm sure we sound better than we look. That's normally true.
I'm gonna stream them all at once. I'm gonna have them all synced on every device in my office and hit play at the same time.
If you do that, actually, a secret message plays that leads to Joe's treasure.
Yeah.
His vault of random things.
The episode has come full circle.
Oh man, we really did it. All right, goodbye, everybody.
See.